So I have been having a genuinely good time in Last Epoch, which was something that I didn't anticipate. I had no clear-cut agenda for this game. I had no it was not on my agenda. It wasn't something I was like planning to play. It was something where I saw a few people playing it and said, "This looks kind of interesting." ARPGs, action RPGs aren't my jam typically. Normally like real time with pause or turn-based RPGs. The action RPG top-down sort of Diablo style, hack and slash looter has never been my favorite, but I do enjoy them when they have a good story. And Diablo 4 was a game I played it here on my channel when it came out, had a lot of good times in it. I had nothing bad to say about my Diablo 4 experience. However, I understand where the conversation points are happening, and I would like to talk about those a little bit because there has been a lot of outcry from people as I've been streaming and doing guides and stuff around Last Epoch. I continually hear the same comment over and over and over. Oh, it's so much better than Diablo 4. It's so much better than Diablo 4. It's so much better than Diablo 4. And as someone who genuinely enjoyed my Diablo 4 experience, and I'm also enjoying my Last Epoch experience, I think I bring a slightly different perspective here because I don't hate on Diablo 4 just because it's a Blizzard Activision title. I like Blizzard Activision games. I love World of Warcraft. I like StarCraft. I just like their games. This was something new and a surprise, but I can tell you one of the things I think right out of the gate that separates these two, and one of the pressure points that's causing a lot of people to say this is a better game than this one, is that this doesn't appear to have any like massive microtransactions, and Diablo 4 does. And I've had plenty of discussions with people during live streams as well as some other videos that we've talked about the debate about microtransactions, in the sense that I've always viewed them and I still view them, and it's just a fact of game development and marketing 101 is that if you don't want to participate in microtransactions, you don't have to, and it doesn't impact the way you play unless you are choosing to play PvP. And then in the case of games where they allow some sort of I remember there's a Star Trek mobile game that came out. Can't remember the name of it now. Where you had ships. And I played that game, got to level 10, entered the PvP arena, and immediately was getting wiped over and over by players who had bought the $40 ship, which had all these cool stats, versus my free ship, which had no stats. That's an unfair pay-to-win advantage. And when that exists within games, yes, the conversation about how microtransactions can be harmful to the community and to the gameplay, that argument is extremely valid when it's that. But when it's cosmetic in nature, there's nothing wrong with it. And it doesn't impact you at all unless you choose to let it. So I know the big debate with Diablo 4 recently was they released a mount that cost more than the game itself costs, which I understand that. It's controversial for some people. Blizzard is not a stupid company, and so providing players with lots of options and ways to create a unique experience for their characters, there's nothing wrong with that. This game not having any microtransactions that I'm aware of anyway, leads towards the Baldur's Gate 3 route, where Larian Studios is getting a lot of praise for creating a game that's just a game. There's no microtransactions. There's nothing going on there that could potentially be abused or create pressure points for the people who feel that that is something that is worthy of feeling a pressure point about, if that makes sense, or ranting about. The other the other thing that's for me, and I think this is what really differentiates the two in my mind, is the fact that Last Epoch has an offline mode, and oh my god, did I wish that Diablo 4 had an offline mode. Now, overall, I don't really care whether or not a game has offline mode or not for the most part, but I've talked about this in the past. Like, I live in an area where sometimes we have power outages. And you saw the flickering a minute ago when my lights, like the wiring in this homestead we're slowly replacing it over time, but we have power outages. We have internet issues being out in the countryside. I have 2 different connections to deal with that. And so there are a lot of times when I just can't be online 24/7. And so it's really nice for a game to have an offline mode for those circumstances. The rest of the time, I don't really care one way or the other because I'm online working 16, 18 hours a day in front of my desk anyway, so it doesn't bother me when a game has an always online mode. But one of the big differences for me is I know going through the post-launch phase of Last Epoch, where you see these threads popping up and people complaining about, oh, 150, 250,000, whatever the case is, hundreds of thousands of players can't log in and access the game because the servers are overwhelmed because it's more successful than the company thought it was going to be. QQ, I can't play. And I kind of, when I hear people saying that, I'm like, you're crazy if you think you can't play, because the game has an offline mode. Like, you can totally play even if the servers are down. Like, what's your complaint here? You kind of don't have a complaint when you can actually go play the game. Although I understand if people want to be playing it online with friends or things of that nature, but you can totally play this game offline if you choose to. And if you look at both of the characters that I'm playing through the game, I'm not doing any online can play at all. I'm only doing offline mode with Last Epoch. I'm going to have a video coming up about that subject entirely, so stay tuned for that. It'll be in the Last Epoch playlist if you want to check that out. Links are down below. By the way, this is the perfect moment for me to say, don't forget to check out the Diablo IV playlist. It's been a while since I played it, but it's coming to Game Pass soon. My brother hasn't played it yet. He wants to try it on his Xbox Series X, so I will be circling back around probably in April or May to do some Diablo IV with my brother. But in the meantime, I'm deep into Last Epoch and having a lot of fun. So check out all the guides and everything else I'm doing with that game. Now, beyond that, I would say looking at the gameplay, honestly, the gameplay loop feels exactly the same. I don't see anything to differentiate between the two gameplay loops here. It's literally a looter, hack and slash looter. It's you go loot, you get new loot, you hack and slash, kill lots of mobs. The layout, the UI, everything feels a lot like the earlier Diablo games. But where Diablo 4 is going to win, from my perspective, compared to Last Epoch, is the level of polish that was applied to everything in the launch product versus this. This is an indie studio, this is a AAA studio, and there is a massive difference in game between the budget of these two and what things look like and the level of polish. So, the only thing I experienced in Diablo 4 at the game launch was because of the online factor. When I went into the first city on launch day, there was like 7 to 8 minute lag spikes where you would like click on an NPC and it would take like 7 minutes to open up the dialogue because it was just lagging so bad. But that was literally a launch night only thing that only persisted for a few hours, and then they got the issues sorted out and it was fine after that. World building, music, the character design, scrolling, not scrolling, but zooming in and looking at the character models and everything in Diablo 4. The cosmetic options for Diablo 4, all of those are way better than what is provided in Last Epoch in terms of polish and AAA quality. The graphics in Last Epoch, the world building looks great, and that's comparable between the two, as are the VFX, I feel, are comparable between the two. But where Last Epoch fails a little bit is like the character models are not up to the same standards of quality as Diablo 4, and that's a budget thing. They had a much bigger budget with Diablo 4. Last Epoch was something where they came in and said, hey, we've got a lower budget. We're going to work on this. We're going to get them looking good enough, but that's not our prime focus. We want to make a fun gameplay loop. And that's there. The gameplay loop that these two games share, which is go out, kill mobs, get loot, level up, have lots of skill trees that you can specialize. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. And then customize to the way that you want to play your character. That's all there, and I don't really see a difference between these two. I think they're equally fun in terms of the meta of how you want to build your particular class and subclass. So as far as gameplay loop goes, I mean, it's an ARPG. Whether it's these two games or Path of Exile or playing any of the other ARPGs that are out there, they all have pretty much the same gameplay loop. Cosmetic-wise, I would say Diablo 4 wins the day just in terms of the sheer amount of options to customize your character, whether it's through the base gameplay in Diablo 4, the Battle Pass with all the stuff that you can get as a free player, or the stuff that you can get when you're a subscriber, or the things that you can buy from the cosmetic store. Diablo 4 is going to win the day in that regards because everything in Last Epoch is what you find in the game, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But if I had to compare the two, I would say for every 100 cool items I would find in Diablo 4, I'm maybe only finding 20 or 25 here. So it feels like it's magnitudes greater in Diablo 4 than in Last Epoch. So at the end of the day, looking at these two games side by side, it's very obvious that this was a hundreds of millions of dollars of production, and this was a much lesser. Matter of fact, did Last Epoch? I want to see here. Last Epoch budget was. Where's it at? I thought they did a Kickstarter. Let me look at this here real quick. Kickstarter. Last Epoch by 11th Hour Games raised $255,000. Now, I don't know how much went into this after the original Kickstarter. I don't know if they raised additional funding or got a publisher or any. I don't know any of those details. All I know is you have this, which was crowdfunded for $255,000, and this, which cost millions and millions of dollars more to make. And it shows in terms of the polish, the amount of customizations that you can do for your character and everything else. Last Epoch has a rich, deep skill system and a great gameplay loop. There's nothing wrong with this game. I am having a great time in this game, but I had an equal amount of fun in Diablo 4. So for me, the stories are pretty good in both. The voiceovers definitely better in Diablo 4 than they are here. This is fully voiced. This isn't fully voiced. You could go into all the comparisons between a big budget game and a low budget game. And at the end of the day, the only thing that really differentiates the two is the fact that one costs more money to make and it has more levels of polish, more levels and options of everything. This is still just as much fun with much less. So if you're someone who hasn't tried Last Epoch yet, I would suggest that you go out there and give it a shot. It's a relatively low entry price compared to Diablo 4. I mean, this costs half. I paid like $70 for the base game of Diablo 4, I think, when it came out. It was either 60 or 70, and then I paid, 30, maybe $32 or $33 with the discount on Last Epoch. It was somewhere in the $35 range. And for my money's worth, I could have bought 2 Diablo 4s. So it's very interesting to see how these smaller, scrappier teams are making things that can even be considered with Diablo 4. I think that's worth celebrating. But again, I'm not disparaging Diablo 4 at all. I had a great time playing the game. I'm looking forward to play it again. I can't wait for the expansion. I'm also having fun with this, and I can't wait to play this all the way through and figure out right now is do I like my Falconer more or do I like my Shaman more? I don't know. I'm playing 2, and they're a hell of a lot of fun. So stick around, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you want to see me play more Last Epoch, there's a playlist. Links are down below. I do tons of different games, though. Check out all of the playlists, daily streams here and on Twitch. There's a Discord. There's a Patreon. I write sci-fi and fantasy. You can check out the links below for my latest novel. Till then, everybody, stay safe. Happy gaming.